I'm doing it because it actually makes me feel good. It gives me mental clarity. It reduces anxiety, whatever it is that it gives you to be more sustainable.
I think that is so important and key. And it's just kind of simple. It's not rocket science, but I think people overcomplicate it by thinking they need to do all these certain things instead of like really looking at what makes me feel good, what makes me happy. When I walk into our Jazzercise studio, whether I'm going there to teach or whether I'm going there to take class, I'm instantly happier. I feel better. It shifts my mind. I can be real foggy. I always say it like gets rid of the cobwebs in my head, and
Yeah.
I instantly feel better. And so, I mean, even though I love Jazzercise, our day-to-day business side of it can be stressful and overwhelming. But when I go back to why I love this business and what I'm passionate about, when I go and I take a class or teach, I'm reminded of how good it makes me feel, and that gives me the motivation to go again.
Do you find it hard to stick to a workout routine? You can start out with good intentions, but that will only take you so far. Today I'm speaking to Shanna Nelson about the mental and physical benefits of exercise and how to overcome the barriers to starting a workout regime. Welcome to Move Your Mind, where we uncover why you are holding yourself back from getting the life you want and what to do about it. With the help from high-achieving guests and experts in behavioural science, personal development, and the health and wellness space. Join us if you're ready to move out of your own way toward your ideal self. I'm your host, Nick Brax, and I've been working in the health and wellness space for the last 15 years, helping people find direction and gain the courage to take control of their life. My mission is simple: to help you learn everything that I wish I knew so you can become your ideal self. Lacking guidance, I spent the majority of my youth feeling lost and disempowered, which led to depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, and substance abuse. Looking back, I didn't have the vocabulary to communicate what I was experiencing. And as a man, I didn't resonate with the emotional language used in traditional therapy. I didn't need to talk about my feelings. I needed tangible solutions to guide me toward building a life I was proud of. If you can relate, then this podcast is for you. In this episode, we discuss why you should make exercise part of your daily routine now. If you're ready to take action and build a stronger mindset, then keep listening. Shanna, so nice to meet you. Thank you for making the time to come and talk to me today.
Of course. So nice to meet you. Thanks for reaching out.
Yeah, really appreciate it. So I might just jump in before we get into anything. Would you be able to give a bit of a background on yourself and the work you do and how you came to be doing what you're doing?
Sure. So my name is Shanna Nelson, and I'm the CEO of Jazzercise. And Jazzercise is the longest standing dance fitness company in the industry. Actually, my mom, Judy Shepherd Missett, founded the company accidentally. It was not on purpose, 55 years ago. So in an industry that is extremely trendy, somewhat fickle, and things tend to come and go, we have really stood the test of time. And there wasn't a fitness industry when she began teaching the classes that would eventually end up as Jazzercise. So I'm the same age as Jazzercise. I'm 55. And so literally it was, all that I've known my entire life. So I grew up as a dancer and being surrounded by this business and these amazing women. And so I became a franchisee when I was in college and then worked my way through the company. I've had lots of jobs. Especially when you're family, you have the tendency to do all kinds of jobs. And so today we are, stronger than ever and have franchisees, 7,400 franchisees worldwide. And we have just been plugging along.
Wow, that's incredible. So, I guess two questions on that. What is jazzercise for anyone listening? And
Sure.
number two, that's how have you had that longevity? Because like you're saying there, this it's crazy that it wasn't even an industry 20, 30 years ago or however long back. But now there's a new trend, a new sort of fitness movement popping up every day. How have you been able to be sustainable and just stay focused through all of that?
Yeah. So first, Jazzercise is a dance fitness company. So it's dance aerobics, cardio dance. We have all different kinds of classes. We've definitely evolved over the 55 years. So that's part of the longevity story. But my mom started these classes mostly because she was a professional dancer teaching technical dance classes back in the late 60s. And she'd noticed women were coming in and out of her class, and they weren't there to become a professional dancer. They had a class reunion, they had a wedding, they had an event where they wanted to, at that time, become a smaller version of themselves. And it wasn't so much about health and wellness. And so she was like, I don't like that these women are leaving my classes. I'm going to take my training and turn these classes turn them away from the mirror, base it in dance, but give them positive reinforcement rather than constructive criticism, corrections that you have in a technical dance class. And it just took off. And at the time we were living in Chicago, my parents and I was young, but we moved to Southern California, which was really a good choice because at that time, California, kind of the body beautiful, way of life that was here. It was perfect and kind of ripe. So she just kept teaching these classes that were dance classes, but easy to follow. So we
Mm.
are an easy to follow fitness routine that is based in dance. But we, of course, over the years have integrated, strength training and HIIT classes and core classes and all of the things that, as time and science has told us, are better for us. We incorporate that into Jazzercise today. So I hope that answers the first question. The second question, as far as longevity goes, I really believe because we have stayed true to who we are, which is dance fitness. And we've seen, because we've been around for 55 years, just like fashion, how everything comes back around. We've been around long enough where it's come back around. And so, there was a point where high impact was bad for you, then low impact was the way, and then low impact isn't enough. And now you need strength training and all of the things. But we've really tried to stay true to our dance heritage and background, and that's who we are. And I think that has really proven to be successful and good for us. The other part is our program is extremely inclusive, and it is something that you can do through all of the ages and stages of your life. So we have customers, our average customer stays with us for 7 years, which is really long in the industry. But we have customers that literally have been with us for decades. And we are the type of fitness class where you could be 20 in a class with someone who's 60 and both enjoying it and getting what you need out of it, which is unique and different in the industry. So I think those two things have really helped us continue to be successful over the years.
I love that. Yeah. And would you say a lot of it's to do with, how you were saying you've stuck to dance. It's not, you're not over engineering everything, you're being true to yourself. That simplicity, because I think what I've seen and what you hear a lot of the time, people get motivated and excited to go on whatever fitness journey it is, and they just can't sustain it because it's too complicated, it's overwhelming. Life's already so difficult as it is. So
Yes.
I know for me and people that I know, having something that's just simple that you don't really have to think too much about, you look forward to it.
Yes.
You've got such a higher chance of sticking to it.
Yeah. And I think what you said about looking forward to it is key. I see so many individuals that try to do something that maybe they don't enjoy because they feel like it's a good workout, like it's going to give me the results that I want, but I don't really like it. And I really feel like you set yourself up for failure if you're not doing some form of exercise that you enjoy. And a lot of times it's like, you got to look back on your childhood. What did you like doing as a kid? Like, if you liked sports, then maybe something sports related is what, will be your jam. If you were a dancer or a cheerleader on a dance team and you loved that, like, that's probably going to be what you will enjoy later on. But I think the key is finding something you like, because then you look forward to doing it.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I guess a lot of it's logical, and would it also be? I think you alluded to it before, but having the right motivation for doing it. So if you're motivated just by trying to get a good body or whatever it is, it's going to be hard to keep going with it. Whereas if it's about, no, I'm doing it because it actually makes me feel good, it gives me mental clarity, it reduces anxiety, whatever it is that it gives you to be more sustainable.
Yes. Yeah, I think that is so important and key. And it's just kind of simple and it's not rocket science, but I think people overcomplicate it by thinking they need to do all these certain things instead of like really looking at what makes me feel good, what makes me happy. When I walk into our Jazzercise studio, whether I'm going there to teach or whether I'm going there to take class, I'm instantly happier. I feel better. It shifts my mind. I can be real foggy. I always say it like gets rid of the cobwebs in my
Mm.
head. And
Yeah.
I instantly feel better. And so, I mean, even though I love Jazzercise, our day-to-day business side of it can be stressful and overwhelming. But when I go back to like why I love this business and what I'm passionate about, when I go and I take a class or teach, I'm reminded of how good it makes me feel. And that gives me the motivation to go again.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes so much sense what you're saying there. And I guess if I think about my own routine, I exercise has been the thing for me that makes me feel good. And when I've in the past was looking at, I was doing meditation and I was trying all these different things. I was trying to journal and things that are great to do, but I was actually getting overwhelmed trying to do so many things. And when I broke it down, exercise is like meditation for me, but it also,
Right.
gives me all of these other things. And it just makes life easier when I guess going back to, what do you actually enjoy? It's not hard to go and do it rather than over engineering it and thinking we need to do this, that, the other. Maybe
Yes.
meditation might be the thing for someone else, but it's finding what is that thing. There's no right or wrong, but I think we sort of are made to feel because of, especially with modern society, we're bombarded with so much information. We're told we need to be so many different
Yes.
things.
Yes.
Um, we feel like we need to be everything rather than just finding, hang on, what do I actually feel good doing? What's the right thing for me?
Yeah, no, when you talked about the journaling, I'm like, oh, I should be journaling. Like instantly that went through my head. And
Yeah.
there's like so many things. Like I should be meditating. I should be doing yoga. I should be. And the truth of the matter is, modern life today does not really allow for that. I mean, if that's happening for you and you can, that's great. Like, and also tell me how to do it. But I think you just have to break it down. And again, I go back to what do you enjoy and what is doable for your own lifestyle wherever you live and what's happening. And that's one thing I think with Jazzercise that is so nice. A lot of our studios, we have babysitting that is included with memberships. And so, for instance, where I teach, we have tons of moms that they bring their kids in. They're able to take an hour to themselves and be able to feel like their kids are in a safe environment. And my own two daughters, I have a 21-year-old and an 18-year-old, and they grew up in our studios. Like this is just normal. And so finding something that makes it easy for you to work out or to whatever it is you're looking for, I think makes a huge difference, because every life's hard enough. Like you don't need to be struggling over your exercise.
Hey guys, if you're enjoying this podcast, please click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram at NickBrax. I really appreciate your ongoing support. Yeah, exactly. These are meant to be things that are making our life easier. So if it's having the opposite effect, you're just not going to be able to do it because,
No, it won't be
how can
sustainable.
yeah,
Yeah.
not possible.
No.
So, yeah, a big part of our podcast is mental health related. And I talk about it so much. I guess even the name Move Your Mind sort of came about originally because of movement and exercise and mental health. How big of a connection do you think there is between, being physically active, moving, doing, exercising and your mental well-being?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's such a huge connection. I think that connection is as great as it is for your physical body on the inside. And how important it is. I can speak from my personal experience of the last 5 years for me being a real struggle. I lost my brother unexpectedly. COVID happened. And, my brother passed away the year of Jazzercise's 50th anniversary. It was just the two of us. I was worried about my parents.
So
We
sorry to
had
hear.
Thank you. We had this huge
Yeah.
event for Jazzercise happening with franchisees and customers coming in from around the world. We were launching Jazzercise on demand at the same time, our digital platform. Then COVID happened, and for the fitness industry, it was, we were greatly affected,
Hmm.
as many businesses, but especially fitness, and having to flip and go digital. And then the last 2 years, I went through a really terrible divorce, and so all of these things, my anchor was Jazzercise and my workout. Like, and sometimes looking back, I'm like, I don't even know how I did that, but it was kept, it was like my normalcy. Like it was like this is happening no matter what, when everything else is so chaotic. So personally, I would not have made it through without exercise. And
Mm.
my community at Jazzercise, like it just really saved me. And even when I wasn't sharing what was necessarily happening with my life, just to go in there and be able to disengage from the noise in my head. So I imagine if it's like that for me, it's probably like that for a lot of people.
I love that example, and I mean that's so much to go through. So yeah, again, sorry to hear
Thank
about
you.
all of that, but an amazing example of even in that chaos, you can find ways to come through these things. But I guess, like you're saying, that's exactly what I found when I've had these chaotic times in my life. The exercise, it's been an anchor, like you were saying,
Hmm.
because just knowing. I mean, obviously, you get all the positive benefits and it clears your mind. It's good for your mental health. But I think even more than that, in those times, like you were saying there, just knowing that it becomes this safe space, something, the one thing you can control when everything feels out of control. And I guess even in day-to-day life, we can't really control a lot, and it's a big problem for so many people. Anxiety is higher than it's ever been because we're all trying to find certainty when we can't, but we sort of
Hmm.
can find that a little bit where you have your own daily routines that you do. So, no matter what happens today, well, I'm going to exercise at this time, or I'm going to do this.
Yes.
And that just it gives you that one thing that can keep you grounded. So I think
Yeah.
it's such a important point.
Yeah, I think the comfort in the schedule and the comfort in like even the repetitiveness of it for me was super helpful. That when I was, and I definitely run more on the anxious side than the depressed side. So
Same here.
for for me, I was like, okay, I have to focus on this. I have to go do this. And the physical benefits are great, but it's like I don't know how people don't exercise with that have anxiety or depression, because it just, you're right, like physiologically, the dopamine, the serotonin, and all the things that happen. But just like I feel like me getting out my stress was so critical for me to be able to function and move forward and be able to be there for my daughters and take care of all the things that I needed to take care of.
Exactly. And I agree. I mean, I'm an overthinker, and anxiety's been my biggest thing. And I don't know how I could possibly function or feel good in life without exercise. And then, like you're saying there, I don't understand how other people could not want to sort of do it if they're not doing it. And it's not as simple as that, obviously, because
No.
it takes time to build a routine and all those sort of things. But it does feel crazy when we've got, there's such a complicated world we live in. There's so many things that, we should be doing, but we've got this thing that's just so simple that is accessible to anyone that we can do. And a lot of
Yes.
us are not doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
I wish it's simple but complicated. You're right. And,
Yeah.
my mission in life and at Jazzercise has definitely been to get to those women, men, people, and just be like, come try a class. Like anyone's welcome, and any level is welcome. And, we will take you in. And that community also is so important, like your workout community, because sometimes the people that you're working out with are not necessarily people you would be friends with outside of the four walls or wherever you're working out. Or even if you're in
Yeah.
a running club, like you're not, but you have this commonality that it's like if you're having a bad day and you walk into a studio and somebody's like, "Hey, are you okay?" You're like, "No, not doing so great." Like, "Okay, well, let's work out." So that community and that also shifting my brain and forgetting about my troubles has just
Mm.
been, it's priceless. It really is.
Yeah, no, that's a huge one, and that's one of the questions I was going to ask. How can we make ourselves accountable? Because we, can have the best intentions, do it for a little while, but I think sticking to things. I think, like you were talking about before, it's seeming, if you're having to travel too far to go to a gym or whatever it is, if it becomes too difficult, it's very hard to stick to it. So, I guess you were talking about community, working out with other people. What are some things that anyone listening can do if they want to keep themselves accountable to a new
Yeah.
exercise routine?
Well, with not wanting to sound redundant, but I would say find something that you really love. Number two, I think you can't think about it. I don't know if you follow Mel Robbins, but her whole philosophy of like, you've got to wake up and you can't, if you start to think about not going, it's not going to work.
Mm,
So, it's like you cannot have anything get in the way. Like if you start to think like, oh, I shouldn't, or I can't, or I won't, just force yourself to keep going. Sometimes, even laying out your clothes the next morning. So if you're going to work out in the morning, if that's when you go, like there's no excuse. There's no wondering what I'm going to put on, what I'm going to wear. Like you've already planned it out and thought about it. So you just get dressed, you put your clothes on, and you go. Those things are really helpful for me. Even I have to remind myself sometimes of how I feel when I'm working out, even if I'm tired, even if I'm, not feeling maybe mentally my best, I never feel worse. And I
mm.
remind myself of that. Like I'm never going to feel worse. And so those things really help me to stay motivated and to go to class when I need it the most. And maybe that's when I feel like that's the last thing that I want to do. So those things for me, just reminding myself of how I feel and that I never feel worse. I always feel better.
I love that point, and it's so true. Like I sometimes you really don't feel like exercising, or you're tired, or whatever it is, but I can't think of one example where I felt worse afterwards, unless maybe you sort of injured yourself or something. But
Yes, or like you're sick and you don't know it, that kind of thing. But that's different. I mean, but
that's very
every
different.
day,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
So it's a crazy thing. And then I was thinking about, like, with other things that a lot of us do, drinking, going out, all these different things. When I um, quit alcohol a while back, I was sort of thinking about, okay, when I've had excessive amounts of alcohol, how many times has something positive come out of that? And apart from in that moment, maybe, feeling a bit free and enjoying yourself, the overall experience was negative because you're feeling crap the next day. It takes a while to recover. It sets you back.
Hmm.
You might say something or do something stupid when you're drunk. So it's just interesting that, we do things like that,
Hmm.
that when you look at it logically, there's really not very many, if any, positive things that come out of it, but a huge amount of negatives, but only positives for exercise.
Yes, but we repeatedly do it. Yeah. I know.
Kind of crazy.
I've been there as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting when you think about it. So, I just think it's a really hard thing for people. And I do believe, especially if you're a person that hasn't ever found exercise that either makes you feel great or that you've seen the results that you want,
Yeah.
and that in whatever it is, whether it's feeling better mentally, changing your body composition. I do think that there has to be some positive that you're feeling from it. And I do understand the feeling of, walking into a new workout place, whether it's a gym or a studio, and feeling that intimidation factor. I think that also is a barrier for a lot of people. And I've been in the fitness industry. I mean, I've taught jazzercise for 36 years. But if I go into a new workout, if I try, something different, it is scary for me too, even though I kind of know what I'm doing.
Mm.
And so it's like, the little things like, where do I put my towel? Where do I put my car keys? Trying to follow everyone in so that you don't stand out and feel embarrassed and intimidated.
Yeah.
And so those are the things I think mentally that you have to push through. And like everybody was new at one point. I'm not the only person that, didn't put my water bottle in the right place. Like all of those things I think are also barriers for people. And so, again, it's like that tough conversation internally that you have to have with yourself. It's like, I'm just going to do it anyways. I'm going to be uncomfortable and I'm going to do it anyways.
Yeah, because anything new we find uncomfortable. Anything we haven't done, it's again the unknown. So yeah, once you push through that, it doesn't. It's a very short amount of time until you feel sort of adjusted and then get benefit out of it. So I think that's
Yeah.
a huge one. What about with online? Is that another way people can, if they are feeling intimidated or they to take that first step, can they have like a soft entry where they do something online? Do you think that's
Yeah. Oh,
another
I
thing?
think I think that is one of the benefits of the digital space, especially in the fitness industry now. I've thought that often. Jazzercise, we have a digital platform, Jazzercise on Demand, and I know I've heard from new customers that they're like, well, I've gone on and, done the 2-week free trial just to see like what a class is
Mm.
going to look like, what we call things, how we cue, what are the movements going to look like so that they have some level of comfort. And I think that's great for people. I know a lot of times people want to get in shape before they start a workout program.
Yeah.
And if that's what you need to do to be comfortable, that's okay. But I think that the opportunity now with so many things being online is really, really great for people who maybe that intimidation factor is just too much for them and they want to feel somewhat comfortable when they walk into whatever it is they're going to do.
Yeah, no, I love that. How do you? I mean, it sounds like you're incredibly busy being the CEO of Jazzercise, and then managing your own, workout routines and your family and everything else. How do you maintain balance with all of that?
Well, here's what I'll say. I don't think balance really exists.
Yeah.
So I find that I'm either doing great at work or great at home. On the rare moments where things are equal, I feel really good. But
Yeah.
I think it's always a struggle. It's a struggle, to be a parent, whether you're married or you're single, like the mental load of caring for your family, which oftentimes does fall on women, is overwhelming. Like the amount of post-it notes in my head about things that I need to do for my family. And even though my children are older, there's still a lot. And
Mm.
so I think what I try to do is just have grace with myself and that, I really literally can't do everything. I tried for a really long time and was kind of
Yeah.
miserable for a really long time, but you really can't. And so I also had a lot of guilt as a mother, because society tells you a lot of things about being a working mom that maybe isn't always on the positive side. But I have found that in discussions with my daughters, really interesting. Like one day I was doing a call in the car with my youngest daughter, and I got off the call and I was like, I'm really sorry that, I was working and you're in the car. And she was like, no, mom, I love to listen to you. I love to listen to what's happening at work and hear what you're doing. And so that was kind of an aha moment for me. I
Mm.
was like, wow. So and I went back to myself as a kid when Jazzercise really started to grow. And I felt the same way. I loved listening in. So it really shifted my mindset as far as feeling guilty for working, which I need to do to support my family, to, wow, I'm teaching my children some things and they're learning and listening not only from me, but from these other wonderful women that I work with. So just knowing that your balance, it's always a balancing act to get your balance. And sometimes work's great, sometimes family's great, and that's okay. Like everyone will survive, including you.
Yeah, we're only human. We can only do so much every day. So it's
Mm-hmm.
so important to remember. And with exercise, do you have set times you do it, or is that more working around your daily routine and you sorry, what's happening daily with life and work and everything?
Yeah. Well, I teach 3 classes a week, so I have my set schedule and then rotate some classes on the weekend with other instructors. So I know I'm getting those workouts in,
Yeah.
because I'm the chief choreographer for the company as well. So I get a lot of movement in during the week, when I'm working on choreography. But I know that I have those 3 times a week, and that's really helpful for me to have a set schedule, that I know I'm going to be there and I'm going to do it. And so that for me is great. I like, even though I wouldn't consider myself kind of a regimented person, that side of it I do enjoy, knowing having a schedule.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing all of this. We
Of
finish
course.
every episode with 5 closing questions. So
Okay.
I won't throw you. They're not nothing too crazy. I won't throw you too far under the bus with
Okay.
these,
I
but
feel like, okay, I'm ready. It's like a game show.
exactly. Be prepared.
Okay.
So the first one is, what's your best childhood memory that comes to mind for you?
Oh, my best childhood memory is definitely the holidays with my family. I have 2 cousins that are like my sisters, and we just always had so much fun at the holidays together. So that definitely sticks out in my mind.
What would you say? is currently the biggest burden on mental health in society?
Oh, I hate to say this, but I still feel like there's a little bit of a stigma. I still think there's a lot of people out there that don't understand. If they haven't ever experienced anxiety or depression or any sort of mental health issue for themselves, not believing it because you can't see it.
Yeah, I know that's the hard thing, is it's not tangible. So, and I
Mm-hmm.
think there is, it's come a long way, but there still is a lot of stigma. So,
Yes.
long way to
Yes.
go.
Yes, I agree.
What's your personal definition of happiness?
My personal definition of happiness is probably health. Number one would be good health. Definitely, of course, brings you so much happiness. I think my definition, like when I think about when I feel the happiest, is when I've worked hard and I'm able to spend some good quality time with my children and, um, you know, laugh and have a good time with them. It doesn't matter where we are, what kind of house we live in, how much money we have, but just, health and quality time for me is really what brings me the most happiness.
Yeah, they're the things that really matter. I love that
Mm-hmm.
one. If you could go back in time and give advice to your younger self when you're sort of, 18, 19, about to go out into the world, uh, what would you say?
Oh, I'd say trust your gut. Like listen to your gut, listen to your heart, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to express whatever your heart is telling you. Because I still struggle with this today, even as somebody that's worked in this business a long time. At 55 years old, I sometimes question, like I have strong gut reactions to things, and anytime I have ignored them, it's not served me well. So it's like trusting your inner voice, I think, is really important.
Yeah, so interesting hearing that, and comforting for me to hear that, because that's something that, I have always tried to follow, but it's sometimes it's really hard to, and sometimes you do ignore it. But
Yeah.
like you're saying, nothing positive ever happens when you've got that intuition telling you, you sort of know deep down what you need to do, and when you
Yeah.
ignore it, it doesn't lead to positive
Yeah, your
things.
brain's usually like, you're crazy. Stop that. Don't think that. But anytime I've ignored it, it's not served me well.
Yeah, absolutely. So final one, what are you most proud of?
Oh, I'm most proud of my children. Number one, they're amazing young women who are smart and kind and hard workers. So I'm really proud of them. I'm really proud of Jazzercise and our longevity and really our mission and our message in the world of like everyone is welcome and creating space for people to work out that maybe they have never found anything else that they've been able to do and stick with and feel had them being able to find us, and the sustainability of our business that we've been able to be here this long. I'm really, really proud of that. And that all is because of our franchisees carrying that same message, no matter where they are. If they're here in California or in New York or in Europe, a jazzercise class really is the same no matter where you walk into it. So I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible the longevity that you've had with it. So thank you so much for sharing all of this. Where
You're
can
so
our listeners
welcome.
go if they want to learn more about you or Jazzercise? Where can we send them?
Yeah, so you can go to jazzercise.com or just jazzercise on Instagram. And my Instagram is Shanna Nelson. And so they can go there and find out everything they need to know about the company and who we are.
Amazing. Well, I'll put all of the links in the show notes. So anyone listening, please make sure to
Thank you.
check them out. And Shana,
Thank
thank you so much for making the time. It's been so great
Thank
chatting.
you. Yeah, so nice to meet you and get to know you. And thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Shanna Nelson, for joining me today and offering your insights. And thank you for listening. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the episode and any suggestions for topics you'd like to hear about. Feel free to leave a comment or send a DM. Your feedback is always appreciated. Please don't forget to click the subscribe button, leave a like or comment, share with your friends, and follow me on Instagram. It really makes a difference. Thank you so much.